Hello, everybody, and welcome to this space, and happy International Women's Day to all of you. So as Michelle said, today we're gonna discuss how gender issues are shaped by society and what impact they have on disabled women and girls in education. And we're gonna talk today about poverty because it has huge impact on us. We as disabled women know that we often seen as it, we're not really seen as women, and our bodies are often objectified and we have very little control over. Many of us experience extra dependencies because of the lack of support and find it much harder to break out of abusive relationships, be it with partners or family, or be it with support that we've got. We're going to also talk today about the lack of recognition of the role disabled women played in disabled people's movement, and how somehow the movement, a lot of it is about disabled men, and how we need role models, because actually the movement, if there is such thing, is led at the moment by amazing disabled women. Hopefully we're going to talk about the role disabled women are playing in the women's movement and in other movements. This day was initiated by women who were fighting for justice. They were fighting for rights. They were radical women. Today is about our solidarity. Today is about our sisterhood. Today is about us standing up together for our rights. Okay, so we're going to move to first speaker, who is Maria Valverde, right? Is that how you from Deaf Ethnic Women's Association, DEWA. So Maria, it's over to you.
So my name is Maria, and I'm from the DEWA organisation. DEWA means Deaf Ethnic Women's Association, and it's a national association, and it's led by women. So DEWA provides a range of support, and it's aimed at deaf women. You get control of your own life. They have access that they've achieved. They don't really want to change and ignore their identity. They want to embed that and want to recognise and respect their cultural differences and identities. So the support that they will receive, it varies from, and other ethnic backgrounds can access the organisation and have equal rights, have similar experiences. So supporting deaf women from a range of different backgrounds, deaf, hard of hearing, profoundly deaf, hearing loss. They could have BSL as their main language or oral and be bilingual. So we often face many barriers when we want to access mainstream education, for instance. So big examples, in mainstream schools, there isn't much deaf awareness. Teachers and students don't realise how to communicate with a deaf student. So what we do is that we can see that can be a target for bullying, being different, having a disability. So what we need to do is take more action, and it's important to provide deaf awareness in schools. Having it just singular with students isn't enough. So I think when having a range of it in mainstream education, the deaf identities, they can be affected. And at times, deaf girls feel that a bit ashamed of themselves, that they're deaf, and also they're the one person in their school that is different. So within mainstream school, there's often incidents that happen with deaf students. They feel worn out, exhausted.
Like mainstream, when they teach deaf young people in school, sometimes there's loads of communication barriers and breakdown, and it's very hard, so that the deaf students feel that the work is hard. They feel that they're not getting enough support, And then they also feel that they're alone. So it can be very difficult in that situation. So also for deaf mothers and their children, they give them work and then they can't understand the written English. So that means that it needs to be translated into BSL. So things has to be accessible, be it English, be it everything connected to the deaf parents. So what we do, we encourage that there's access and that the deaf students get better support in school, that they get more teachers of the deaf and staff that are deaf aware. And so that the girls feel comfortable when they want to speak what they're saying. If they're being bullied or anything, they'd be encouraged to talk. So sometimes deaf culture for deaf young people can be difficult for them to ask for support, because in mainstream school, they don't have like close relationships. They have like their own community, their own rules, but where it's different in the deaf community. For girls, maybe they won't speak out, they just hold things in. So we make sure that we put access into place so that it supports the young people and their family, because we know sometimes it can be very difficult. Like if there's like communication barriers, you know, what do you do? We have to put these things in place. So we need like changes, the correct changes that are adaptable, like partnerships. They need to make time, maybe have smaller groups, have one-to-one, and then just get the support that the children need, and have BSL interpreters, communication support workers as well. So we know that also funding, you have to make sure that they get the right funding so that they can supply what the deaf people need, so that deaf people don't feel like they're discrimination against, and so that they have access to things, and also provide shadowing as well. So it's like BSL is their culture and it's their language, and we have to fight for discrimination to stop, and so they stop being labelled. But thank you so much for listening to my talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie. It's definitely equal access is important, and recognition of deaf culture. And thanks so much talking about confidence and how the lack of right funding and the right support can have a huge impact on access. So our next speaker is Claire Glassman from Winvisible. So Claire, it's over to you.
So Winvisible is a grassroots multiracial organisation. We're based on collective self-help, and we are at the Crossroads Women's Centre. We have a London-wide and UK-wide network. We focus on financial independence for all disabled women and winning recognition that for us, coping with disability and ill health in an inaccessible world is hard work for which we deserve an income, and that our workload should be reduced via access, services and other resources. We enable disabled women to get the benefits and services we're entitled to and combat discrimination. We tackle the particular discrimination faced by those of us who are women of colour, asylum seeking, refugee and immigrant, LGBTQI+. We are trans women friendly. Those of us who are mothers and other family carers, working class, low income, older and younger, and around half of us, we reckon, are survivors of sexual and other violence. I started at FDR Special School in Swiss Cottage, and also spent a lot of time in Great Ormond Street Hospital, where there was communal living by disabled children and young people. Together in numbers, we formed our collective resistance to the disability discrimination we felt. At home in the family, it was hard being the only one disabled. At school, some children there had been rejected by family and were in council care. We need genuine integration and mixing, and to be in the company of other disabled children every day and routinely, where disability is normal. A girl should not be the only one disabled at nursery and school, as well as at home. We are challenging discrimination against disabled mothers and disabled children, and the spending of councils and government which pour resources against us, not for us. For example, since 2014, when the education law changed, councils have spent around 325 million at tribunal opposing provision of education, health and care plans, EHCPs. We started the Disabled Mothers' Rights campaign, bringing disabled mothers together to defend our rights to have a family and keep our children. Winvisible is also part of the Support Not Separation Coalition. When disabled mothers ask for support from social services, it immediately becomes a child protection investigation. Together we work with Channel 5 News on research that showed that parents with a learning disability are 54 times more likely to have their children taken into care. Maria was talking about deaf girls and women. A deaf mum who had just given birth was told her situation would need to be checked because she couldn't hear the baby crying. She told them that she had a baby alarm that would warn her when the baby was crying. On Channel 5 News, Jean and her teenager Ty, age 19, were interviewed about their traumatic experience of forced adoption because social services would not accept that Jean is disabled. She was blamed and it was considered future harm to the child for Ty to stay with her. Councils spend up to £1 million a year on one child in institutional care when the support a disabled mum needs can be as simple as a childminder to do the school run. Mothers deserve Care Act support and a care income which would deal with child poverty. We support the Global Women's Strike call for a care income for all who care for people and planet. As regards disabled children in care, disabled children of colour, are disproportionately in institutional care, and disabled children suffer nearly 4 times as much sexual abuse while in care than non-disabled children being targeted by abusers. As regards families and mothers seeking asylum, the hostile environment for asylum seekers has really heightened recently. We want abolition of no recourse to public funds, which is where people who don't have status are denied access to benefits. That includes DLA for disabled children of asylum seeking families. The children are suffering from uncertainty of status, bad housing. At school, it's hard to concentrate because of the stress that the children are under, and also not having the same access to resources that other children have who are also in poverty. It's even worse for asylum seeking children. And as regards access to medical treatment, although officially you are supposed to be able to access emergency medical treatment, the NHS does charge, for example, pregnant women, which has resulted in either pregnant women not having prenatal care or fleeing the hospital immediately after giving birth. And obviously that is resulting in a higher disability rate of newborns. The other issue is that many asylum seeking mothers have to leave children behind in other countries because of fleeing war, fleeing political persecution, and you can't take children with you when you're on the run. but then being denied family reunion by the Home Office. So, you know, we work closely with Global Women Against Deportation Coalition at the Crossroads Women's Centre for the right to stay, against destitution and against deportation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire, for so many very important and powerful points, and especially talking about huge difficulties that asylum seeking women and children are experiencing, especially important now with all the war and horror that government want to unveil on people who need protection and need help. Our next speaker is Marisa McKeith. She is ALFI member. Marisa, yes, over to you.
Happy International Women's Day to you all. I'm Marisa. I will be sharing my story. I will be sharing my story with you. My PA Zakia will be helping me. Our identity as young people starts very young. Our first days at school are crucial. I started my school days separated from most young people. This was the beginning of me forming an identity, both as a person and as a woman. I thought my separation from other young people when I went to my first mainstream school in Year 7 would be at an end. I thought I would be part of the world of ordinary people. I had a real shock. I had no choice of personal assistance. My communication system was dismissed, and the Senko refused to let anybody teach this to the staff. There was no way of connecting to the other young people. There were some other girls who wanted to connect with me, but the assistants were not allowed the time to help with those relationships. The experience was so undermining. I felt I was only partly human. I wanted to be friends with the girls who were interested in being friends with me. I wanted to be an ordinary girl in school with friends. The lack of control over my health in those first experiences of school had the effect of making me feel as I was some sort of alien being. I wasn't female or male. I was some sort of weird separate being without a gender. I became very depressed for months. I eventually left that school after 2 years and started in Year 9 at another comprehensive school. My family and I had learnt by this time that we had to take the responsibility to recruit and train personal assistants for me at school. Separation in any way damages us as young people, as we are often not seen as real people, but as people who are not part of ordinary life. I felt I was not a real person. When at last I got my own PAs in a welcoming school where I had help to make connections, it took me a long time to see myself as a real young woman with all the complexity of feelings that brings. I still struggle at times to see myself as a real woman in new and stressful situations. I want all very young people to have the assistance they need with relationships that are not constantly broken. We need people who know us, especially those of us who need help with communication and relationships. It's about accepting us as a human being with a lot to offer. That is what I want to emphasize, the effect that separation has on us. Because if we don't see ourselves as real people, we won't see ourselves as women having rights, even the right to be alive and have what we need to flourish. We need to be with other young people right from the start, where we see ourselves as a normal part of society with something to give to the world, where we are wanted and have friendships with the help we need to make that happen. As a disabled woman, my call for action is to find a way to support young women and girls and be more effective in my work with young people in schools.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marisa. Thank you for sharing your experience, really powerful. Thanks for reminding us that education and true inclusion is not just about going to mainstream school, it's about having right support that works for you, and often the specific needs of disabled girls are overlooked in how the support is provided. But also thanks for reminding us that it's about being part of a community, having friends, building relationships. Thank you so much. It's really powerful. So our last speaker is Yewande Akintelo Amoni. She is a Young People's Project lead at ALFI.
Happy International Women's Day, everyone. My name is Yewande and I'm the Our Voice Project Youth Officer at ALFI, but some of you may recognize me as a long-time member of ALFI as well. So just briefly about the Our Voice Project, in case you're not familiar with it, the intention of the Our Voice Project is to create a space for disabled young people so we can hear their voices and issues that matter to them, and also develop their skills in inclusive education campaigning. But to just kick off with what I want to say, when I started researching what I was gonna do for this speech and looking at the theme of #embrace equity, because that's the theme for this year, and to my sadness, I realized that we still have so many barriers, especially for young women and young disabled girls, that we're still quite far from being able to realize the theme of embrace equity. And like Marisa just said, it's so important to get that right at the beginning. So some of the things I found are that, like, as disabled women and girls, and as for me as well, growing up as a Black disabled woman, we are subject to many and multiple discriminations. We don't just live, single stories. So we need to also consider intersectionality. Young women and girls, as we know, are more likely to be disadvantaged in education. And also, I strongly believe that's because at the moment, we don't have an inclusive education system. We need more accessible opportunities in education. We need a curriculum that's going to be inclusive, diverse, and differentiated. For example, if you are deaf, as Maria was saying, if you use alternative ways to communicate, you know, as Marisa mentioned, those young women and those girls currently are not, you know, having that equity and that equality of opportunity. The curriculum as well at the moment is not, and I don't think has been for a long time, reflecting disabled women, girls, and role models. On this today, International Women's Day, that is being, I'm sure, spoken about in schools, but how many people are speaking about the disabled women and girls, the activists, the role models, you know, that we know of? If you look at someone like Frida Kahlo, whose, you know, impairment and her disabled experience has completely been erased from history, and that becomes even worse. For example, if you are a Black disabled woman, if you're in school now, when you're a Black disabled young girl, you're gonna hardly hear of any disabled women, girl or role models that look like you or are from backgrounds like you. And I think there also needs to be chances for opportunities for participation and decision making for disabled young women and girls in the disabled people's movement as well, and also a chance for them to reflect and voice on what is impacting them as young women and girls in a safe space. And this may also help disabled women and young women and girls who don't identify as disabled to identify when they feel safe to open up. Where are the chances for disabled women and girls to talk about the intersectional discrimination that they face? You know, we've seen a lot about internet safety, you know, campaigns such as What Happened to Molly Russell in the news. But as a disabled young woman and as a disabled girl, that often doubles, you know, that being at risk of not being safe on the internet or being safe online. But where is the chance for disabled women and girls to be able to speak about their experiences and on things such as, you know, sexual harassment? And I think when we start to consider these things as a society and in the education system, and even in our own movement at large and across equality movement, then we can move closer to achieving this #Embrace Equity goal for International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yolanda, and thank you for talking about importance of
Thank you.
contribution and role models and contribution of disabled women being seen and yeah, for creating again safe spaces and building confidence and disability awareness. So we as disabled women are proud and can speak up